Okay, guys, so now we're going to work on, we've gone over solving inequalities, which was pretty short because you already knew how to solve inequalities. You solve them the same way you do an equation. It's just that one thing, if you get down to the one-step equation, you divide or multiply by a negative, the inequality changes direction. So today we're going to, or on this video, we're going to work on graphing. There's really only one thing you need to know. You need to solve the inequality, and so we'll start with this one right here, and we'll go ahead and solve it. This says 2x plus 1 is less than 5. So again, you solve this two-step inequality the same way you would solve a two-step equation. So I'm going to minus 1, they cancel, and 2x is less than 4. Okay? Then I'm going to divide by 2, and x, the inequality is not going to change direction because I did not divide by a negative. So there you go, and 2 goes into 4 2 times. So here's my answer. X is less than 2. Okay? Now, if you look over here, I've got the less than and the greater than sign, and that's an open circle. Right here, I have the less than or equal to or greater than or equal to sign, and it's a closed circle. Okay? So when you're graphing, you go to the number that's given in the inequality. In this case, it's 2. This is less than or equal to, so that's an open circle. In other words, if it don't have a line underneath it, the equal to part, yeah, this is x is less than 2. I just think I just said less than or equal to. So this is x is less than 2. If it's less than or greater than, it's open circle. If it's less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, it's a closed circle. So this will be an open circle. Now, if you remember correctly in the first video, I said that when we get to variables on both sides, I always want to move the variable over to the left because I always want the variable on the left. And I believe I did say it was for inequalities, and this is the reason why. If the inequality is written out with the variable on the left, that will tell you which direction to shade. And what I mean by that is you can turn this inequality into an arrow. Okay? What this says is x is less than 2. So if you think what's less than 2, well, it would be 1, 0, and all the negative numbers. So we're going to shade to the left. But not everybody is great with inequalities, and some people have a hard time with it, or some people may just want to wait for them to check their work. So if you want to wait to check your work, or you want to make sure you're not making any mistakes, if your variable's on the left and your inequality is in the correct location, this can act as an arrow. This is pointing to the left, so it's telling you to shade on the left, and it's that simple. So let's try what we just learned on another one here. So here's my next equation. This is x divided by negative 2 minus 3 is less than or equal to 1. So before we had a less than sign, now we got the less than or equal to, so this will now be a closed circle. Whereas before it was an open circle because we have the equal to down on the bottom. And what that's basically saying, if you look at this one's saying x has got to be less than 2. Can't be 2 though, because it's not equal to 2. So it's got to be less than 2. So that's why we have an open circle at the 2. Over here, let me go ahead and solve it real quick. Again, solve an inequality just like you would an equation. Add 3, add 3. X over negative 2 is less than or equal to 4. Now multiply both sides by the denominator, the negative 2. And like I said, if you multiply or divide by a negative, when you get down to the one-step equation, the inequality will change direction. So it's going to change direction because we multiply by negative 2, and that's going to go to negative 8. So my answer is x is greater than or equal to negative 8. All right, I messed up my number line, sorry. So this would be, we'll say negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9, negative 10, negative 11. So this is greater than or equal to, closed circle, because that means it includes the negative 8. It says x has got to be greater than or equal to. So the reason it's a closed circle at negative 8 is because it can be equal to negative 8. Now once again, if you know your inequalities, if it's greater than negative 8, that's going to be negative 7, negative 6, but this is really where kids have issues because of the negatives. Even in the 8th grade, we still have some kids that struggle with the fact that negative 7 is a bigger number than negative 9, okay? So that's when you can use the inequality as an arrow, just to make sure you don't make a mistake. As long as your variable's on the left-hand side, this can act as an arrow. So it's pointing to the right, so we would shade to the right. And again, that should make sense because x has got to be greater than negative 8. Greater than negative 8 would be negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, all the way to 0, and then all the positive numbers. So that's inequalities. Just to refresh, or just to review real quick, solve inequalities like you would an equation. If you multiply or divide by a negative, the inequality changes direction. Once you get an answer, make sure your variable's on the left-hand side and your inequality can act as an arrow. If for some reason you don't understand or you're still struggling with exactly what the inequality was saying, remember that if you don't see the bar down here, in other words, making it equal to, then it's an open circle. If you do see the bar down there, in other words, saying it is equal to, you would see a closed circle. And that's graphing inequalities. All right?